Welcome to the Shootin The Que podcast, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue, with tips, tricks, and an inside look with some of the top pitmasters in the game. Now here's your host, Heath Riles.
Welcome back to another episode of Shootin The Que. Of course, today I'm joined my lovely wife, Candace. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
And we have a very special guest in studio today. Meet Mitch, Mr. Mitch Benjamin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, tell everybody kind of who you are and how you got started in the barbecue for the people that don't know you.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a long story, probably as it is for all of us, right? So I'm from Kansas City and started as a competition barbecue team, entered my first American Royal in 2000, so on my 24th year, and really did it just to have fun, you know, just to have a party. In 1999, I went to my first Royal, and I saw the hay bales and the Dixie skirts and the music and the hay bale, you know, the billowing smoke, and I was in. So I signed up the next year. Really didn't know anything about it. I just wanted to have a party.
So you never had cooked barbecue before?
No, but but like it wasn't alien to me as far as like my dad did all the cooking growing up, and at the fraternity house at 3 a.m. I was the one breaking into the kitchen making nachos and stuff for everybody. So cooking was you know in my background, but barbecue was not. I bought my first house. I moved out to Kansas City when I was 24 to work for TaylorMade Golf Company. So I worked for TaylorMade for 21 years and just moonlighted as a barbecue specialist. If that's possible.
I think all of us had to moonlight at first.
I know. So my next door neighbor, I bought a house pretty quickly, and my next door neighbor had a swimming pool, a refrigerator full of beer, and a smoker that was just rolling all the time. So I would pull into my driveway, and I'd go to his house before I'd walk into my house. So he kind of showed me the ropes and taught me how to do it. Next thing I knew, I bought a smoker and was, you know, a weekend warrior out there just going at it. And the first year at the Royal, you know, it's a long process, right? And you drink a lot of beer. And at the end, it was just, you know, you're faced with this daunting project of cleaning up your whole space and getting out of there. And we had a team and we did it. And we had one keg left. And the goal was we had promised each other we were drinking all the kegs, everything on site. So we had one keg left and we got it back to my house and the whole team came back. And I get a phone call. This is legit. I get a phone call and they're like, Mitchie, where are you? I'm like, I'm at home, Pots. Come on over. We got one more keg to kick, and we're at the end of it. I need help. And they're like, well, you just won third place at the Royal for brisket, and you're the only one that didn't come up on stage. I said, oh. They're like, you're not at the awards. I'm like, I wasn't winning shit. Are you kidding me? I was just trying to stay alive. So that kind of fed the machine, so to say, and you know, year after year, we got better, and then we started to travel, and then I started to go to Memphis in May and just have fun. And, you know, you can only sit around for so long without coming up with your own sauces and rubs and figuring out your own flavor profile. So that became a whole new adventure. And in 2012, I think the culminating point for me was the American National League All-Star Game for baseball was in Kansas City. And George Brett's a good friend of mine who's an icon in Kansas City. And he called me the ambassador of barbecue for Kansas City. So I cooked all 3 nights, both locker rooms, the home and away, for the Sunday nights, like the old-timer softball game and the celebrity game, Monday nights, the home run derby, and Tuesday night's actual game. And on Monday night for the home run derby, I'm walking in between dugouts. That's all underground. You can see it. And George is walking by and he goes, Mitchie boy, grab some ribs, come up to the field. So I get ribs, I run out there, and the whole Baseball Tonight crew's there, Nomar Garcia-Pera, John Crook, all those guys, and they're eating my ribs, and guys are coming out from the dugout eating the ribs and stuff. Crook ended up getting it. If you know him, he's a character from the Phillies, gets it all over his shirt, and later there's like a meme, Chariots of Fire, of him eating my ribs and all this kind of stuff in slow motion and everything. But there's like 6 million people that watch that. And it crashed my website, and it really gave me some notoriety and fun because George said, this is Meet Mitch, MEAT Mitch.com. Like, he did the whole thing on national television. And everyone's like, dude, they're like, you need to figure out how to monetize this, right? Because you're just having fun hopping around. You got this sauce now because I won Memphis in May with sauce my first year there. And they're like, you got to figure this out, because unless you're a judge, no one really gets, or in your backyard, no one gets to try your stuff. So shortly after that, I was introduced to a couple of restaurateurs in Kansas City who knew nothing about barbecue, but they knew everything about restaurants and how to run them. And at that time, I was still knee-deep in TaylorMade. It was a great gig. I wasn't giving that up. So we figured out a marriage between us, and we opened a restaurant called Char Bar in 2014. And it just was shot out of a cannon. It was fantastic. So, of course, I have the great idea 2 years later to retire from TaylorMade, because I'm a big restaurateur now. That wasn't so smart. So, but it went well. But I wanted to, really follow my dream of Meet Mitch and the team name, the camaraderie. You know how it is. I wanted to really bring that to life. And so I signed a lease a couple years later to open up a barbecue restaurant named Meet Mitch. And as things have it, you and I were talking earlier, there was delays, and they had to renegotiate with the grocery store there, and a year becomes 2 years. And in 2019, I had an opportunity to move over to Paris, France, and opened up a barbecue restaurant on the Seine, right across from Notre Dame. If you remember when it burned for like 17 hours, that was right out my door. I mean, the ash coming down, everything. We had to close for a couple of days. Historically, it was a crazy time to be there. I remember 2:30 a.m. in the morning, I'm out there, and it's a candlelight vigil. Everyone is singing and crying, and the news crews are everywhere, and the church is still just burning, and flames coming up. It was wild. But so that was 2019. I come back in 2020. My head chef was Paulie. I don't know if you remember Paulie from New Zealand, if you met him at Memphis, but he was from New Zealand. He hadn't been back in like 7 years. So I went over and competed with him in meat stock and did the whole deal in Auckland, had a ball. This is February of 2020. I was there the whole month. And I fly back the first week. And if you can remember where we are, this is COVID, right?
Yep.
So I fly back thinking I'm going to get ready to open up Meet Mitch. I'm telling everybody about it. We're excited. The great thing's coming. And Paulie never got out of New Zealand. So if you're in New Zealand, just completely shut down. So he never made it back to Paris. I got back to Kansas City and then waited 2 more years through COVID before I finally opened up Meet Mitch. And that's where we are today.
Wow. That was a long story. So is the restaurant in Paris still?
It's still going. Yeah, it was shut down through the COVID times, but it's still going and strong. And I bet every month I have someone that I know that's there. And just last week, Becca, the GM at the Meet Mitch Leawood location was there, and they were FaceTiming me doing shots and everything, and it made me feel very special.
Actually, the first time I seen somebody there that I knew, a friend of mine is a pilot for FedEx. And
I know him.
know Robert.
I met him.
And so he tagged a picture when he was in France. He's always in Australia and Japan and China and I mean, somewhere. And he's got a barbecue team, too. Memphis in May.
So the funny story, when I met him, he comes lumbering into the restaurant. He's a big guy, right? And he had the attitude of, you don't know shit about barbecue. He did. He had that. And
Not Robert.
And then he started eating, and he's like, this is damn good. Like, who are you? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I compete in Memphis in May. I compete in the Royal. I do it. He's like, damn. And instantly he flipped. His whole personality flipped. And then we became friends. And then that year, I took Paulie from New Zealand back to compete with me at the American Royal. He had never been to the States. And we're running up on stage, and he's giving us high fives going by. So that was funny.
Yeah, Robert is a really, really good guy. So talking about your sauces and rubs and all that, and going back to your name. So did you come up with Meet Mitch?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I do a lot of things just at the bar in my kitchen with a couple vodkas. And
I think we all do that too.
I just remember writing down Cowboy Chew, you just write down
tons of names.
I
still have all of them in my phone notes, believe it or not.
Do you?
A bunch of names when I was going through, yes.
So I wrote them all down, and I wrote Meet Mitch, and then I wrote Nice to Meet You, spelled the same way, and I giggled, and I said, okay, I'm done. Let's just go with that. And that was just to enter the Royal the first year. I needed a name.
Wow. That's pretty good.
So your first contest ever was the Royal.
Yes.
That's That's a big feat.
I ain't scared.
Yeah,
Just throw me in
clearly.
the pool. I'm getting in.
And a
wanted to
third
back-
place brisket
A
call.
third place
Yeah.
brisket. Yep.
So you started off pretty good. And then after that third place brisket, you were probably just hooked, right?
Hooked. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun.
For sure. So was that in the Open, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And how many teams was in the Open that year?
Boy,
Over
it's
400,
been,
I'm sure,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I think at the height it's been like 605 teams.
609 one year.
Oh, yeah,
that
at
I was there.
Arrowhead.
Yeah,
And
609.
so that year I don't remember. I mean, it was probably 400.
Yeah,
Probably 400.
it was. That's just a great. Considering Memphis MA is at one time used to be 225 teams before they started losing space down there. But to go to the American Roll, and when you pull through the gate, you've probably heard me say this before on another podcast, but they just go, "Oh, you know where you're going,"
I know.
and turn you loose. There is no somebody following you. And,
I know.
You know, complaining you need to get your truck out right now, right now. There's none of that.
I know. My first time at Memphis, they're like, "You have an ambassador." I said, "What? What are they going to do? Am I going to get in trouble?"
Yeah, we got trash people. What is
They're here to
that?
help me do what?
Yeah. Well, they'll assign you a trash detail and all this other stuff. An American Roll ain't none of that.
No, nothing.
None of it.
Nothing.
So way back when your first contest that you were cooking, were you already developing, like already using your own homemade
No,
rubs and sauces
no,
at that
not
time?
all.
Not
No.
yet.
I was so into going to the barbecue shops and
Get mine.
50 things. And
Whatever
were you out
are-
in 2000?
No.
I don't think you were.
No, we're not in
You were in the
2000.
crib, probably.
Yeah, I was, I was still playing around then. I wasn't but out of high school a few years.
Yeah. So no, I would buy store-bought
Okay.
things.
I
of
was
that
just
nature.
curious.
Yeah, just
I
have
could
fun.
about guess, though. If you're around Kansas City, you probably was using some smoking guns hot at the time.
Oh yeah, everybody did.
So I'm just going to throw that
Yeah.
out. And Sindocs and some.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Those were the two iconic Kansas City rubs, and they still are.
Yeah,
You know, and you're the third. Meet Mitch.
that's right.
That's right. But I mean, times have changed in barbecue. We've all seen it, and so kind of skipping ahead. But you've got
Yeah.
3 of your new like dry glazes here.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about those? Because I'm kind of intrigued by that.
Yeah, well, it's something unique, as you know. So my previous job was TaylorMade golf clubs, the most popular driver set of irons that there is. So when I would go see a buyer, I was the good guy walking in. Everyone wanted to see me. And then I changed hats, and I walk into a buyer with a barbecue sauce, and they're like, "Please, just anything but a barbecue sauce or a salsa." They did not want to see another one of those.
What is it about barbecue sauce?
I don't
and
know,
buyers?
but they just close their eyes like, "Don't tell me you have barbecue sauce." I'm like, "That's what I got. It's good." They're like,
Yeah, I know, that's what everybody says.
makes the best barbecue sauce, trust me. So, and they're always like, "What do you have that's new? You know, what do you have that's new and different?" And
Or what's
and
coming.
That's like the hardest thing, you know. Well, it's a pineapple, you know. But for me, I was just thinking, sitting at my bar drinking, and I was like, well, it would be really cool if we could come up with a dry glaze, like something that you sprinkle on at the very end of your cook that melts and is a glaze, and you just take it and put it back in the cabinet, and you're done. You're not mixing up a different sauce. You're not having two things going at once. It doesn't take up space in the refrigerator. So I work with a co-packer, like we all do probably, and just explained what I wanted to do. I wanted low melting point things. I started to think about bourbon, and I saw that there's powdered bourbon, there's powdered butter, there's powdered, you know, all those ingredients. And we just started messing around, and they started sending me samples, and I would work with it. And it took a year. I can be slow sometimes too.
I can be too.
And it took a little over a year, but we got what we think now are 3 fun flavors and really easy, and it's unique, and you sprinkle it on. And, you know, the heat from the protein, the moisture that it releases, and then if you can add a little steam by just covering it up with some foil or a lid, just at the end, like a minute, it really just melts down, and then you're done. So it's fun.
Wow.
And it's different because it's not necessarily in the barbecue lane. Because it's, you know, like you were saying, rosemary, thyme, and stuff like that, and it's for anybody that cooks. It can be done in an oven, on a you know, Blackstone, on a grill, in a pan, anything like that.
Wow. So what 3 flavors do you have?
I have Bourbon Cowboy, which is bourbon, black pepper, and butter. I have Yaki Bomb, which is tangy teriyaki, and then Good Times, which is rosemary, garlic, and thyme. So having some fun.
That is pretty slick. And so you're not using any other seasoning like on a piece of chicken? You're just cooking it using that at the end, or using a little bit of...
Well, that's up to you. because you just put it on the one side. So I put olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then do it. And then when you flip it, I hit it, cover it, it's done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I'm going to have to try those out. That's we're always doing quick and simple stuff at
So
home.
I brought these to leave with you, but it was funny because I was in front of a buyer just last week, and he's like, "Boy, that is new." He's like, "You're really taking a chance," and I'm like, "Well, you told me what's new to come up with something new," and then when you give them something new, they're like, "Oh, I don't know, that's new." I'm not sure I want any parts of that.
Well, we just come out with a line of wet glazes, and we worked on them for probably 5 years. I have been using them in competition, making, taking jelly and different fruits and melting them down and using pectin and all that and making glazes forever. And finally, I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And so I just come out with some wet glazes. They're going very well, but I can imagine that the dry glazes is going to be so unique. I think it's a really cool idea.
I do too.
Well, I
It's a great
appreciate
idea.
it.
From
I need to
an
educate
innovation
people.
standpoint, I think it's really cool.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
And I'm sure the flavors are very good.
They are good. That part's good.
And so are they low sodium as well?
No, not necessarily. They're
Well, I
low
mean, I'm a
melting
salt
point.
person. I'm a salt person myself.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people go, when you ask that question, you kind of get a little gun shy in the seasoning world. Let's face it.
Sure.
But me, salt wakes up the flavor in meat, especially red meat, beef.
Right.
I mean, would you agree to that?
I would agree to that too.
I mean,
yeah.
that's why a lot of people use good high-end salt, finishing salt on steaks, that good pop. But that definitely.
I wanted to start with 3 flavors that worked on steak, chicken, and a piece of salmon. I wanted to check those 3 boxes, and it does well on that. It's not overly salt heavy, but there's salt in it. But there's no MSG. I was weary of that. But
I'll add my own.
yeah, do it.
You'll make.
I'm in.
He's just determined to make people mad.
Well,
with
I mean,
MSG.
I'll ask this question too. Do you get a lot of messages about MSG in your products? Do you have MSG in any of your products?
I have MSG in my WHOMP rub, and initially received some feedback, so I came out with my Naked rub, which is paleo, keto friendly. It doesn't have any of that and tastes almost identical to WHOMP. But those questions have gone away. I don't get any MSG questions. All I get is gluten questions.
They have decreased a lot, but
Yeah, they have decreased a lot.
I do agree that the gluten questions are still
I
there.
think it almost goes through phases, if that makes sense. We get like maybe 1 or 2 every so often, but if people follow we all have this, I have to admit it, none of us follow the measurements on the back of those bottles,
Right.
The teaspoon measurements, the half teaspoons to season
Right.
with. We're barbecue guys. We're laying it on there because we want to taste as much flavor as possible.
Right.
So, so be it. I guess sodium might be a little high sometimes.
Most of the questions I get are, why is your shipping so high? That's what I
get that
every
too.
day.
Like
I'm robbing them blind. I always say, take your shoe, go to FedEx, buy the box, buy all the stuffing that puts in it, and send me your shoe so I get it in 2 to 3 days, and it's going to cost you $20.
Yep.
It is. That's just the way it is.
we charge $8.99 and $9.99 flat rate shipping, and a basic order cost us $11.13.
Easy. Yeah.
That's what. So we lose money on every shipment, and people complain to us, and I get it. I think that's just part of the business where we are.
Right.
But what's really strange? They go on Amazon and they buy and they never complain. And if they buy more than 2 bottles of dry rub from you on Amazon, they could have went to your website and actually saved $1, even with shipping included. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, and then you start paying $11 a bottle versus $14.95, $15.95 because that shipping is included. But a lot of people don't realize that either.
Right.
They don't. They just want to pay $14.95 every bottle. And Amazon's great. It's the world's largest shopping network. We all have to be there.
Certainly.
But it is definitely a little tricky when it comes to that shipping baked in thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no doubt. So you currently have 3 restaurants. Is that right?
We just opened a second char bar, so I have 4 now. So there's 2 char bars. We opened a second one in November. It has 6 pickleball courts, 4 inside, 2 outside, and it's a big barbecue playground. It's awesome. So 2 of those, and then Meet Mitch, and then 1 in the airport, the brand new airport. I have a Meet Mitch.
So I was going to ask you about that. I thought you had something in the airport as well. Y'all opened it up back last year, is that right?
February 28th, 4 a.m. The whole airport, brand new, opened. We all had to be there. I got there at about 3. The manager, who we had trained for 6 weeks, got there and had worked for the airport for 17 years. She arrived at 8:30, and by 9 had already left, quit, first day. So first day, 6 weeks we trained her. She didn't get there at 3 when we were all there to open. She got there at 8:30 and quit, done by 9. I'm like, this is going to be a great experience. I'm so happy I decided to do this.
You have had some crazy luck when it comes to things like that. Wow. So, talking about sauces, let's talk about your sauces. So you have a hot sauce, you have your white sauce, you have a yellow brick road sauce, which is really good, by the way. I really like your mustard sauce.
Thank you.
Your WHOMP sauce is really good. I've never had your char bar table sauce, and I don't think I've had your white or your hot sauce yet either. I need to try those.
Okay, good.
But your WHOMP and your the yellow brick road sauce is really good. I think I sent you a picture of that when I cooked one weekend, didn't I?
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to do when I opened Meet Mitch is Kansas City is so focused on ourselves, and a lot of people don't get out to the other regional areas for barbecue. So I wanted to have a Carolina gold sauce. I wanted to have an Alabama style white sauce and just really introduce some unique different flavors that I enjoy as we travel to other parts of the country and just have those on the table for everybody. And it's gone over really well. Everybody really enjoys it.
So do you do a chicken with the white sauce?
We do. Yeah.
A half chicken?
We do on Sundays.
That's pretty cool. So I've got to ask this, is all your sauces in glass as well?
I know, yes.
So how is that?
They tend to break sometimes.
And
they're heavy.
Yeah, they are heavy. So is that really a big challenge in today's market?
It is a challenge. I've looked. I'm in a bourbon bottle, and they've seemed to make a bourbon bottle in plastic. It being hot filled is a challenge, and it sucks in. I can't remember what the word is for that.
You almost need to run it through a cooling tunnel or either pump it out and be chilled for 2 days before they pack it.
Yeah.
I'm running some of the hot fill stuff as well.
Yeah. I'm just not there yet, but I'm into it. At first I was like, well, it's an aesthetic thing. It needs to be cool and in a glass jar, but I get it now, that you start to ramp up production, do big volume. I mean, it would save a lot of money and be a lot better.
For sure. So what was the very first product you developed?
WHOMP sauce.
The WHOMP sauce.
Yeah.
So it was a sauce.
It was a sauce. It was the WHOMP sauce. And I remember it took probably 8 months. There was a test kitchen at my co-packer. And then at the end, after 8 months, they ask for money. And you give them money, and then they give you a pallet full of sauce, and then you have to figure out what to do with it.
Yep.
So I drove around Kansas City store by store selling it. Actually, the biggest person that helped me was Jeff Staney from Oklahoma Joe's at that time, which is now Joe's KC. I sat in his office and talked to him. I had been giving him some golf clubs for years. The golf thing got me in a lot of doors. So he gave me a lot of advice and put it on his shelves and all that kind of stuff. So that helped launch. He was my first customer.
Jeff's a really, really good guy and a great ambassador of barbecue. And unless you are really, really involved, you really don't know who Jeff is.
I know. He
flies really under the radar.
I know. I do the Windy City Smokeout in Chicago the last 3 years, which is one of my favorite events. And Joe's was there. They were right next to us. And all of a sudden I turn around and Jeff's there with his wife. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just stopping in for like 5 minutes. I just want to say hi, Mitch. How are you? He's like, we're going shopping. I'm like, I get it.
I wish I was. Well, that brings me to, so I didn't realize you've done the shootout. So you just do the Chicago one?
The Windy City?
Mm-hmm.
When you say the shootout, what do you mean?
Well, the Windy City shootout. Ain't there one in St. Louis as well?
I think there is. There's one. Wabi does a whole series of those. So I'm doing his in Arrowhead in June. But the Windy City Smokeout, that's put on by Let Us Entertain You, which is a big restaurant group out of Chicago. They're fantastic to work with. And that's a 4-day event, which has 4 headliners, country music. And it's, followed by guys and bands playing all day long. But the lines there's 150,000 people that come through there.
Wow.
So it's a ball.
So what does your menu look like that? Because I know everybody
has. We do
has
2 items. We do burn ends, Kansas City, obviously. That's our heritage. And then jalapeno cheddar rope sausage.
Wow. So do you have somebody making your sausage for you?
We make it ourselves at the restaurant. In the first year, we brought everything ourselves. I was nervous. I didn't know what kind of points they were going to give me, what kind of sausage they were going to give me. And logistically, it was really difficult to get all that stuff there. So the last couple of years, they've provided everything for us. That we found a product that we like, and it's good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. I know I have some more questions for you here. Let me get to my next page.
Well, I wanted to ask, this is kind of jumping back, but
Yeah.
your WHOMP sauce, where does WHOMP come from?
WHOMP's kind of like that universal word, like the F word, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
It can be good, like WHOMP, or no, it can be bad, like WHOMP, or good, like WHOMP. Like that's WHOMP. So that just used to be kind of our war cry during competitions.
Yeah.
Like if we F something up or if something went well, then that was funny. And so I just wanted to roll with that because sometimes when people don't understand, then they want to know more about it. So
Yeah.
I get that all the time. Like, what does that mean? And I like what's yo pods? Like, why do you say yo pods all the time? I'm like, I don't know pods. You know, just having fun and just putting unique, just different spins on things that make people interested, pique interest.
What is the biggest obstacles and challenges you've seen in the restaurant business besides COVID?
Well, COVID was big. You know, with anything, it's the people. You know, you get great people, and all of a sudden you don't tend to have as many problems. You struggle when the people aren't there really to support you. On the other side of our business is we brought Dunkin' Donuts to Kansas City. There weren't any. And I'm originally from the East Coast where Dunkin' was on competing corners everywhere. So we ultimately, that was my wife ran those. We had 19 in total, 9 individual, you know, drive-throughs, and then another 10 what they call alternative points of distributions inside Kauffman Stadium where the Royals play, or inside Price Choppers and things of that nature. And at 3 a.m. every morning, my wife would wake up, and that's shift change. These things were open 24/7, and inevitably, someone's not showing up. And it's a no-call, no-show all the time, every time.
Yeah.
And within 20 minutes, if that leak can't be filled, she's jumping out of bed and in the car and going and filling that leak. So I think it's just depending on people, and especially if you have so many tentacles and so many, you know, places to fill, is just relying on people. And oftentimes, if that's not a huge, high-paying job, they'll just go get another one. They don't really care.
Yeah.
So that's the toughest challenge.
I think in today's society, people do job hop a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Considering when we were growing up, it was like going, no, you don't do that.
Right, right.
I may even see my son now, he's 18, and it's not like what we were used to be. It's not, people don't look at it like they used to.
Right.
You know, kind of really
Some
strange.
do.
Yeah,
If
some.
they don't feel like going to work, they'll just go get another job.
That's
that day.
very
That
true.
day.
Well, my son is so like, he's like, look, I can make this at work, or I can wash one car in 2 hours and make the same thing.
Yeah.
He has that entrepreneurial spirit,
Right.
but you know, he's got to take it to the next level.
Some days
Dad's
he
not
has
gonna
it.
do it for him.
Not all days.
Yeah, not all days.
It just depends on the day, unfortunately.
I couldn't get my daughter to work at the restaurant. Like when we were coming out of COVID, it took us 6 months before we were open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week because no one would work. But my daughter, you know, she was like, in the summer, she was nannying or driving kids to the pool and back, and someone was Venmoing her $20 an hour. She's like, I'm not going to work for you. I get $20 an hour on Venmo, no tax, nothing. All I got to do is drive them to the pool.
Wow. So how did you even get the opportunity to expand into the airport with a restaurant?
That was through a friend. So how that worked, there was like 6 companies that were vying for that job, and it was winner take all. And everyone aligned themselves. So Joe's or Jack Stack was set up with someone, and I was like the last guy picked in the kickball game. You know, someone I think bailed. Someone called me and said, "Hey, Mitch, would you, are you interested?" I said, "Sure." I didn't really know what it was. And I looked into it a little further, and, the team that I was with wasn't supposed to win. We were the big underdog. And the next thing I know, that took about a year. We won, and now I'm at the airport.
Wow.
But it's pretty cool. I think they told me there's 11 million perceptions a year of guys like us that walk by through the airport that don't necessarily go eat there, but look up and see my logo and are like, what's that? And I see it every day. in the restaurant where people come in and said, saw you out there. I'd never heard of you before, but didn't have time to stop, but wanted to make a point to come find you when we got back. So it's been good.
Yeah, that is cool. And I'm going to be the first to raise my hand and say we haven't had your restaurant, but I'm definitely going to have to get that way and try it. But I know the airport's, I'm sure, good, but I'm more of a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, you got to come see. It is a big restaurant. It's fun because it has floor-to-ceiling windows all the way through the airport. It's a brand new airport, which is nice, so they did it right. It looks good. And there's 2 legitimate smokers. So, no.
This guy.
Sorry, phone got me again. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Still ringing.
Yep, I cut it off. Every single podcast, my phone is guaranteed to ring.
That's good.
Guaranteed to ring.
We used to have a jar here, and I made him put $20 in it, but he moved the jar.
I did have to move it. Well, talking about catering in the restaurants, you've done a lot of interesting catering for a lot of different celebrities.
I have.
And a lot of ball teams and things like that. So what is the most interesting catering job you've done so far?
Well, when Derek Jeter retired in Yankee Stadium, they flew my team in, and we catered that.
That's cool.
Both dugouts or both locker rooms after the game. And it was a Sunday night game. It was against the Royals. And I had met him and several Yankees during the All-Star game. Plus, I did Royals games all the time. So that was really cool. For me, I had Reggie Jackson with tongs, who's a big, Hall of Fame Yankee guy, putting ribs on people's plates. Michael Jordan was there. If you remember Dave Winfield, an old Yankee guy that's like 6'8", he was like looking over my shoulder. It was just as you can imagine with Jeter, it was a who's who. So that was really cool. And then I got to go do Fox and Friends and the Today Show and all that kind of stuff. So that was the highlight. That was really fun. I
bet that was pretty cool. A lot of faces probably in that room, and you're probably going, "Wow!"
I was like starstruck for sure.
He sucks at a golf swing. He needs help. Do you catch yourself analyzing people like that because you were in golf so long?
Oh, all the time. For golf, yes. I would do these demo days where they put the tent up and you have all the stat bags, and inevitably a guy would hit like 6 shots and 4 off the hosel, and 1 would hit him in the forehead, and he'd come back and hand me the club and be like, "This is not very good," and I'd be like, "Really?"
It ain't the club.
You probably met a lot of people through that too, I would imagine, through golf, not just really before barbecue.
I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for golf and the opportunity to hang out with people like George Brett, who really, propelled everything that I've done in the barbecue world, and just nice people. But yeah, opened tons of doors.
So what all did you do at TaylorMade Golf, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was a manufacturer rep. So being in Kansas, I had Kansas, the state of Oklahoma, half of Missouri, and half of Nebraska. So really the center of the United States. So any golf club that rolled through that geographic territory came through me. So I would see everyone from the big box stores to country clubs to anyone that sold golf clubs.
And you were really on the uprise of TaylorMade.
Oh, yeah.
In those 21 years, thinking back.
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
When I come out of high school, that's when TaylorMade was really like just going full force.
I started in 96, so it was the bubble shaft, and then in 97, the first titanium driver came out, and that was huge because it like doubled in size. I would walk into a pro shop and they'd be like, this is a VW Bug on a stick. No one's ever going to hit this. Well, now if you look back, that looks like a 3-wood now. So, yeah, it really, and Tiger came on, late 90s, early 2000. And in 2000, Adidas bought TaylorMade. And that's when we really took off. So it was a heck of a run. It was a really good run.
Wow.
I'm a golf nerd.
Are you?
Like a closet golf nerd, yeah.
She watches a lot of
golf.
I
like turn it. He'll come home and be like, "Why is golf on?" I'm like, "Because I like to watch it."
Yeah.
I mean, we watch some major tournaments. I do sometimes.
I'm gonna make it to the Masters one day.
Oh, that's an experience.
I just want to go experience
it. That's the one thing where people build up movies and you go see the movie and you're so amped up and you're like, "Oh, it's all right, I guess." But when you get to the Augusta and you walk those holes and you see the undulations of the greens and how deep the fairways drop and things like that, you're like, wow. Yeah. You can't see that on TV. You just can't.
I'm going to make it there, and I'm going to make it to the Derby one day. Those are my goals. My U.S. goals.
The Derby. I was actually at the Derby, I think, 5 years in a row and never saw a horse.
Oh, wow.
I swear that's a true story.
Was you having a little too much fun?
We were in the infield. We'd be there for the Oaks. We'd be there. And I was in my early 20s. We didn't have any money. We weren't throwing hats on and we were pushing grocery carts of beer into the infield and going in and sitting there and giving people dollars to take their tops off.
Those were the good times, man.
We were supposed to go to the Derby right before COVID. I was in talks with them, all of that, and then COVID. And then right after COVID, we had our daughter, a little bit right after that, and we just haven't made it yet.
Well, and we had tickets to
the Masters.
To the Masters
Oh,
and
did?
a house set
2020 when they canceled.
At the end of the road,
COVID.
we had a house at the end of the road, like where everybody was going to be staying. We had a house to stay in.
Yeah.
It was all set up through some friends. It was all just friends of friends, and all COVID. It got canceled.
Oh, that stinks.
Sucked.
We were actually sitting in Chicago. Oh, we've talked about that on here.
Trying to get home.
Yeah, well, we were like sitting in our hotel in a little bar area, and all the TVs were on, everything, talking about what's canceled because of COVID. And like there it came, said that they were canceling the Masters, and we were like, man.
Can't win for losing.
I know.
So one day.
Yeah.
So you have distribution on products now in thousands of stores, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how many different countries do you have products in?
Well, like you, I mean, there's different distributors from
Probably 10, 12.
Yeah, all over the place.
You're like me. Some days you probably can't. You don't know. You have to look in a computer or ask somebody around the office. Hey, did we do that? Is that we there?
I have someone that our company is so big. There's 3 of us that work there, and one of the people's names is Michelle, and she actually does everything. So when my immediate instincts is just to ask Michelle everything. And I'm sure I drive her absolutely insane.
Yeah, I have an Anna. That's who I got. I have an Anna. That's what I like to tell everybody. When I need to know something, Anna, what is this? She may tell me I need to go to so-and-so, but she's going to let me know about it for sure. Well, man, Mitch, I just want to appreciate you for coming on, and thank you again.
No, thank you, yeah.
We've
been threatening to do this for a while now.
Well, your daughter is going to a great school, Ole Miss.
Yeah. I'm lucky to be here. I think I flew 106 solo missions across the quad yesterday, loading her out to my truck in 90-degree heat in Mississippi, about died. And all I kept thinking was, I'm going to Oxford Grill for dinner tonight. I can't wait. She's fired up. I know exactly what I'm going to get.
They're closed. On a Monday.
I almost punched through the glass. Every haul back to the truck, I kept saying, I'm going to Oxford Grill. I'm going to Oxford Grill. I'm going to Oxford Grill.
You had to have that motivator, right?
I had to have it. I'm getting the soft shell crab with the Louisiana crawfish sauce over top of my filet. No.
Maybe next time. I'm sure you'll be back.
I had to settle with City Market, which was funny because Piper was my daughter. She's 18. She's looking at the menu. She's like, what's a flatiron steak? I have no idea. Where do you see that? It says flat iron, but they spell it all one word. So I got to give it to her that. But she's like, flatiron? Like, what is this? I don't know. You should just go with the Pipe. It'll be good.
Yeah. Order filet.
Order medium rare.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, for sure. Do you have any other favorite restaurants in Oxford?
I'm just getting to know them. But City Grocery was good. I was there last night, and Eli Manning and his wife were sitting at the bar. That's always fun. But I think it's great. And that Hinton men's shop, have you ever been in that thing?
I don't think I've been in that.
That's insane. It just keeps going.
Jacob probably has.
It just keeps going and going and going. There's another room and another room.
So Jacob went to school at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
He's
Okay.
our Ole Miss graduate.
All right.
So
My daughter's big into roosters. She got the Roosters pass or something like that, which means she gets.
Will be next.
Yeah.
she took you out to the library yet?
Is the library at the Graduate?
No, it's kind of.
There's a bar up top of the Graduate Hotel.
It's kind of down on the strip,
It's
right?
the huge sports bar.
Okay.
Town Square, right on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been there. We have to be careful. She's still just 18, so we're kind of sneaking around a little bit.
Oh man, it's Oxford, bro.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
Let me say this: my son, when he was graduating, was going to Oxford a lot. He used to work all the ball games.
Okay.
He wouldn't come home.
I don't.
He wouldn't come home. It didn't matter if he was 18 or not. He never went. He didn't go to Ole Miss, but this is when he was in high school. He stayed at Ole Miss. He did not want to come home. Right? Am I right or wrong?
That's true.
I mean, every weekends
It's
at
so
ball
fun.
games, he would make $1,000. So doing tents and things like that, and delivering food, and Lord knows what else. But
Yeah.
And you guys come for some of the games too, right?
Yeah, we do. We do.
So-
There's 2 designated Kansas City games. Last year it was LSU was the first game at the end of September, and I loaded up. That game was amazing. They won like 48 or 45-39 or something last play of the game. But I loaded up my truck from Kansas City and fed 350 people barbecue in the Grove. Put my flag in the ground, said, "This is my first game. I'm here." 4 years.
So
You got me.
So before your daughter decided to go to Ole Miss, had you ever been to the
I
Grove and been to a game there?
So I had the most unbelievable experience. George Brett, who we talked about earlier, his son Robin was going to Ole Miss, and my son was trying to decide where to go. So George, this is a whole different world that he lives in. We flew private, which was an hour and 20 minutes from Kansas City. Now it takes me 9 hours. If I fly, drive, hitchhike, it doesn't matter. It's 9 hours. So we fly private. The mayor meets us on the tarmac. We go, we check into the graduate game day weekend, which you can't even get a hotel then, you know what I mean? And we go to the game. We go to the coach's office before the game. And with George and my son, George tells the coach that my son's a kicker, that he needs to bring him on the team. He's just making shit up. And we're in the tunnel when they're running out. And this is DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown. This is the real deal. We go to the Chancellor's suite for the game, out on the field afterwards, and then we go to the Manning's house for dinner.
Oh, sweet.
And my son looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Pop, if George isn't here, I don't get any of this shit, do I?" I go, "You get none of this." None. He goes, "I'm going to be a Jayhawk." I said, "Yeah, you are." So when Piper said, "I'm not going to KU, Dad. I'm not going," I said, "Well, can I take you a place I kind of want to go?" And she said, "Take me wherever you want." And I took her to Ole Miss, and that was it. She loved it.
It's a good place.
so how do you like the Grove?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's just a ball. I love.
They throw a party.
Oh, it's a party. Yeah. The girls may dress a little differently than when I went to college. I was like in the grunge era where everyone was wearing flannels and stuff like that. Now they hardly wear anything at all.
That's true.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I just have to look up. Make sure.
Yeah. Yes, you cross over that road, that rainbow, that golden age. That's what I like to say. Well, we talk about all these other restaurants and things like that. One thing that I didn't ask you, what is some of your other favorite restaurants in other cities? Because you've done a lot of traveling all over.
There's so many. I just got back from Tampa, and I went to Burns Steakhouse. I don't know.
Have been there.
Wow.
Incredible. They bring the steak around on the cart and let you pick it out.
Yeah, it was fantastic. That was awesome. Nick and Sam's down in Dallas. I was at the Ace Hardware show. You were.
Yeah, no, I didn't go to. We wouldn't at the Dallas show.
Okay.
Remember, you text me and I'm
I
like,
did
no,
text
I'm
you.
not there.
Yeah. That was fantastic. I really like the Burns. They took us to. They give you a tour of that's like the largest wine cellar in the
It's
private
really
wine
Burns.
cellar.
She hadn't been.
haven't been there.
I was with Chad Ward, and I drove over to Tampa to pick up a friend of mine flying at the airport. The airport's right down the road from Burns.
Yeah.
And I just told Bobby, named Bobby Nash, a friend of mine from Arkansas, and I was like, "Man, if you fly in down here, we'll get a good steak. There's a good steakhouse right here." And we went there as soon as I picked him up, and it was one of those top. It's in my top 10.
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, it's kind of so hard to nail down just like a steak place. Mm-hmm. But I think that Restaurant Revolution in New Orleans is probably one of the best all-around restaurants
All right,
I've
I'll
been
hit
to.
that up. I haven't been there.
She can tell you about
We
it.
didn't eat steak there, though.
No, we didn't eat
Other
steak
than
there, but turtle soup, all the way down to seafood to all the appetizers. I think we had 7 courses or something. It was
I don't
ridiculous,
remember it all.
but it was not fair.
Yeah.
It was that good.
I will check that out. I take a lot of crap on the internet, on the web, the Facebook pages and stuff like that. People say, "Memphis, where do you have to go?" Well, for me, I love to go to Rendezvous, and everyone's immediately like, "Oh my god!" But
A cold beer and a sausage and cheese plate is good at the Rendezvous. There's
and
nothing
the
wrong with it.
Spicy coleslaw is good, but for us, it's just the nostalgia of it. I think the first year when we went as a team, like 6 dudes, we walked down those steps, and the smell permeates the room, and you just meet the people that work there are fantastic, and you'd look at all the stuff on the walls, and the owner's really nice, took care of us. Where the food was secondary. We were there for the ambiance and the romance of the restaurant, and it was just fantastic. And we do it every year, and I look forward to it. And that's what I try to tell people, but they just immediately.
Have you ordered the shrimp there yet? I always ask. You have to order it 24 hours in advance.
Oh, really?
So if you know you're going, you need to call and order the barbecue shrimp, because I would really like to know if it's that good.
We've never had it either.
We've never had it either, and I mean, the Rendezvous is. I'm with you. To go have a beer there,
thing.
Sit down, atmosphere,
Well,
the
you
food,
can't get a
second to none.
vodka. That's the only problem.
You know, it used to be the only place that served Michelob.
Oh, really?
That was what they had on tap, and that's changed now. But back for 30 years, it was Michelob draft only.
Wow.
That was it. It was the only one left still serving Michelob.
Okay.
It was pretty wild.
Their I know it sounds crazy, but their ham is good too. Like their ham
Smoked
sandwich.
ham sandwich.
Okay.
It's actually pretty
On
good.
white bread and
That's what
cheddar
I get when I
cheese.
go there.
There you
Yeah.
It's stacked up like pit carved ham.
Yeah, it's good though.
You would really,
All right.
I mean, it looks like a big Thanksgiving like
Right.
sandwich.
But before we go, while we're on restaurants, are there any other barbecue restaurants in the U.S. that you have been to and you're just like, man, that was great. I feel like it was worthy of.
So many. I mean, just the last trip to Dallas, I went to Black's. I thought that was outstanding. I thought that was really good. I love, if you haven't been to Green Street Meats in Chicago, that's an odd place to find it. I love Billy Durney's hometown.
I want to go there.
Brooklyn is outstanding. There's so many. I like it all. Like everyone's like, "Are you judgy?" I'm like, I'm not judgy at all.
I'm not that judgy either. You gotta look at it for what it is. It just kind of depends on if you know what you're getting or not. I do like trying other people's barbecue though.
Sure. Yeah.
And you can tell who's got a passion for it in the kitchen and who's just hiring cooks.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I get when you get to a certain point, maybe that person got burned out or just trying to take a day off, and the person that's cooking's having an off day. Mm-hmm. It happens, and we all have off days.
Sure.
None of us are perfect, and sometimes maybe people shouldn't be so judgmental, like you said about it. It's just barbecue. We're not saving the world.
And that is the tough thing when you have a restaurant. If you get to start reading those reviews, it's like 5-star, 5-star, 1-star. That place blows ass. You know,
you kind of
what?
And you kind of know
Like,
that's
really?
that's one Karen or Ken. That's just
they happen all the time. There's no stopping it. But you know, hopefully they sort through the good through the bad.
sure.
But you have to have some tougher skin because you get a lot more reviews than people. They don't really review this online too much.
They review the food though.
They review the food.
You got to ask for a product review, but when it comes to food, they're real quick to jump online, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, you talking about you doing burn-ins. Do y'all source just cases of points to cook?
Yeah.
And see, that's something we can't get here.
Oh, really?
Cases of points.
Well, it's become difficult even post-COVID because I think some suppliers changed around and things of that nature. But we serve so many more burn ends than we do the slices, the flats that we wouldn't be able to keep up. We just source cases and cases of points.
That's so crazy. I don't know. How many points do you cook a day?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. Between all 4 restaurants, it's a boatload. I don't know. If I start knowing stuff like that, I get in trouble. They ask me to do too many things.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, Mitch, man, we've been friends a long time. Thank you again for coming on the show and talking and hanging out. And I can't wait to try your new Dry Glazes there. I'm definitely going to give them a whirl.
You bet.
For sure. Well, look, you going to be in Chicago?
I will be.
For the Ace Show?
For the Ace Show.
Well, I'm going to have to try up that restaurant. Maybe we can go together when I get
I'll
to town.
go with you. Absolutely.
Right. Let's make it a date. That'll
done.
work. Well, I really enjoyed shooting the QE today, man. Thank you for coming on the show. And I'll see y'all next week with another podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Shootin The Que podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels or through our website. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Leave us a review if you enjoyed the show. Until next time, keep shooting the Que.